Will the Committee on Parks please come to order? It is 2:55. I'd like to welcome committee members Cordero, Talbot, and Nishimoto. Before we start our meeting, I have some procedural announcements to make. Pursuant to Section 92.3.7 revised statutes, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive conference technology, with the following procedures in effect for the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony remotely or in person at the council chamber on all items on the agenda when each item is taken up. Before testifying, each person shall state their name. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. All persons who have registered to testify in person will be called upon first. When the timer goes off, please conclude your remarks promptly. Persons who have not registered will be given an opportunity to testify following the registered testifiers. Once in-person testimony has concluded, I'll proceed to remote testimony. For remote testifiers, when your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. For those joining by telephone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. Then I will give persons who have not registered an opportunity to speak following the oral testimonies of the registered speakers. Please utilize the raise hand feature in Zoom to be called upon, as both English and Olala Hawaii are official languages of the state of Hawaii pursuant to Article 15, Section 4 of the Hawaii State Constitution, Section 1-13 of Hawaii Revised Statutes. Members may testify in either language. For oral testimonies offered in Olala Hawaii, additional time may be necessary to allow for translation. HRS 92.3.7 requires votes at remote meetings to be called by roll call unless unanimous. Written testimonies, including email address and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones for the meeting. Members, let's get this done. Agenda item number 1, Resolution 2518, confirms the nomination of Laura H. Thielen to serve as the Director of Parks and Recreation of the City and County of Honolulu. Here with us today, we have Director Thielen.
Good afternoon, council members. Chair, thank you very much. Members of the council, I do have to say I am very impressed that you were able to get all that out without a single, pause or flaw. It's like listening to a podcast on 1.5, But thank you for hearing about my confirmation today. If it is all right with you, I could maybe begin with a statement about the past 4 years and what I'd like to be doing the next 4 years with your support. Okay, thank you, Chair. When I first applied for this job, I was very interested in the land aspect of the City and County Department of Parks and Recreation. But what I did when I first started was to go around the island, meet with the staff, have them show me what they were proud of, what their challenges were, to help me understand the entire department. And I came away from that first 3 months realizing the full value of parks is not just the spaces, it's the meeting places, the gathering places, the recreational opportunities, the educational opportunities, the social opportunities. It's our staff being able to provide that support either directly through our programming or indirectly by permitting the many wonderful organizations that will take out parks permits to do athletic events, social events, educational events. And so it's been my pleasure over the past 4 years to be working on strengthening the department. I've mentioned to many of you that our department's gone through a generational change. And so out of our 13 mid and higher level managers, 11 of them are new to their jobs in this past 4 years. And many of the people below them have also transitioned out. And so we've been hiring a lot of new people. And while this is challenging because you're losing a lot of institutional knowledge, it also represents an opportunity to revisit how we've been doing things and to maybe make it a little bit more relevant for today. So some of the priorities that we worked on over the past 4 years were things like how the department is organized. Is it equitable? Does it match our population growth on the island of Oahu or not? And what we found out is that it doesn't. So we took, we have 5 geographic districts, East Honolulu, urban and near West Honolulu, Windward, and then we had a huge district that spanned from Mililani, Pearl City, Ewa, and Leeward Coast. And it was just too much for that area to manage through a single administrative structure, a single refuse crew, a single mowing crew, a single recreation group. And so what we did is we divided that into 2 districts, and we worked with you folks to get an additional garbage crew and equipment and an additional mowing crew and equipment so we could provide more equitable services on the maintenance side for people in Central and also West Oahu. The other thing we looked at is how can we take advantage of being more proactive on the repair and maintenance. And so we took advantage of the federal funds that came in under COVID. We worked with the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services to change from working on a project-by-project basis to a master agreement basis, where we could go in and do work orders basically and reconstruct a whole series of parking lots, one right after the other, under a single contract. We could reconstruct and do preventative maintenance on large roofs. And so through that and our maintenance support services, we've redone the roofs for Pearl City Gym, Booth Gym, Kaneohe Gym, Halava Gym, Central Oahu Regional Park. And when I say gym, this was also the entire complex, which in some cases includes the pool buildings and the recreation buildings, and then all 16 roofs in Ho'omaluhia. We are looking at putting together, or started putting together, ways that we could be more proactive in other ways. So we worked with you a couple years ago to come up with funding for an asset management, where we could go out and inventory every single one of the roofs at the park buildings, be able to schedule them for repairs, and then also ultimately for replacement, because we would have the schedule at the point where the roof would likely fail. And at that point, we could start to shift our roof repairs over from being reactive to being proactive. I'm happy to say that we have finalized that professional services contract, and that's beginning this year. And we have a working group in our department who's going to be working with that contractor and among ourselves to figure out, once we create a database to put this into a software program, it should tie into our work orders. So say we have a tree fall down on a building, we can have the work order go in, but then the work that was done on that would automatically go into the roof database, so we would know that we need to update it and change the repair schedule. So we're going to be taking the things that we did in the first 4 years and working to build them into systems across our department so we can be better on the large-scale repair and maintenance and the minor capital improvement projects. The last thing that we've done in that area is we decided to return maintenance support services to become a division. So we reorganized the department one more time. Many of you have had the pleasure of working with MSS to get a lot of these jobs done. It's been a section under the Parks Maintenance and Recreation Services. We're elevating it to a division, and thanks to you, we will be adding an additional work program manager to be able to handle more of those projects going forward. We have worked with the Department of Urban Housing and Urban Development at the national level to work out an agreement where we can use some of those federal funds without having to go through a historic preservation review for doing certain common type of repairs, reconstructing an outdoor court, replacing a playground, reconstructing parking lots. So we're trying to identify sources of federal funds that we can bring into this asset management system to be able to keep our parks maintained on a scheduled basis. We're also working with our grounds maintenance crews to develop maintenance standards. We're beginning with bathrooms, green spaces, and this also includes our Division of Urban Forestry for the trees and the street trees and the trees in the parks, as well as the athletic fields. We created the park board, which is under the charter, to also serve as a means where the department interacts with the public as we do these projects, that we are fully transparent in how we're doing it, that we use the board process for the working groups to report their progress to, and to say what they're going to be doing as next steps, and then they come back and present that at the next board meeting. So we're keeping a good public dialogue going and providing the opportunity for the public to weigh in. So there's a number of things that we worked with on the maintenance side. I just want to touch briefly on the programmatic side. For programs, we know that those are equally important to a lot of our population. So I've shared with you the work that we've been doing on the Summer Fun program to create program standards and come up with more outcomes-based programming for our youth. We will be continuing that work over the next 4 years with your support. We have places like Hanauma Bay, Pokai Bay, the botanical gardens, things where we want our youth that are in these programs to be able to cycle through these resources that we have within the department and use those as education, cultural, social activities in those areas. So we're looking at where there's overlap between these ideas. We're also taking a look at our kupuna programs and doing more of a needs assessment to determine what we should be doing besides the senior clubs, which are popular, but not as popular with the younger kupuna that seem to prefer a more active engagement. And so we're evaluating that in our department. We will be continuing with the Adopt a Park program, and Urban Forestry has also been working with that program on things like the community forestry and community gardens and other planting opportunities that the public may have. And we're starting to expand into more partnerships. So one example is the Dune Restoration Project at Kailua Beach Park, where we're working with UHC Grant and the Department of Land and Natural Resources. So these are all efforts that we've started and want to continue over the next 4 years with your support, and I'd be happy to talk about more of them if you have any questions and any other questions that you may have.
Thank you, Director. Just real quick, could we have your deputy introduce himself and say a few words? I think you only spoken once, so I'm going to give you as much opportunity as possible.
Okay, well, good afternoon, Council, Chair. Just introduce myself again. I'm Edward Hayden, Deputy Director for Parks. I'm super excited to be here. So this is month number 3 for me, getting up to speed on everything that need to do in the city and everything that we do in parks. It's been a wonderful experience, and I'm super excited to be here and to continue working with all of you on any of our projects.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we're happy to have you. Okay, council members, questions? Go ahead, Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. Hi, Director Thielen. So I know that a lot of the requests that the different council members and council districts have been fielding your way, which you address with MSS and maintenance and envisioning something different for MSS. Another thing is the different agencies that work with your department, and also the back and forth. I know we talked about this last week, but I wanted to bring it to the forefront on how you envision working with the different departments to make their work efficient as well as your work efficient so that we can see more results at our parks.
Thank you, Councilmember. So as you know, we intersect with a lot of different departments in the city for services. Some of the obvious ones you folks may be familiar with is DPR does not have electricians. We work with DFM when there's electrical work that needs to be done. If we need to replace a facility and it's a capital improvement project or an extensive repair, or in some cases building new facilities, we work with the Department of Design and Construction. And then obviously we work with DIT for things like a software program or other things. They recently built a permitting system for us where we were able to shift our permits over to that. And many other departments, DHR for hiring. So if I can pick one, you know, the city is very different because I worked at the state. The state is much more siloed. So the city is, even though we have more departments at the city level than the state does, there is a lot of integration and coordination between the departments already. I think in large part because the city works more on an operational day-to-day, you know, you drive out of your driveway, there's a pothole, the stop sign's down at the corner, you go by the park. I mean, it's very practical, and it doesn't seem to have as much of the policy work as the state level. So we have a much closer working relationship already between departments, but you can always improve on that because there's a lot going on. And I found a lot of times it's just communication. So we're in discussions with DDC about kind of more formalizing the communications between our departments. They've given us a sample of kind of the procedures to follow when they start design of a project. We're working in-house on coming up with better written information when we come up with a CIP project to put into the budget. And so we'll be working with that department to kind of set a process with a record that everybody follows in these projects. We had a discussion where we both went out to the community in Waimanalo recently, and we realized what the community really wanted is, I don't want to hear about this project separately from this project, separately from this project, because these are all projects in our community. We would like reports more from a community basis. So we've started talking about, is there a way to do that, especially with parks, because we've identified each park by council member and also by neighborhood board. So we could start to maybe package information. And so this will be a while. DDC is having its turn now at going through a generational change. And again, while that's difficult, it also presents opportunities. So we'd like to get these things in place, start, building them one by one, but have them really in place and institutionalized. My goal is by the time, if I'm reconfirmed, that I walk out of here in 4 years, it's just standard practice and everybody knows it.
Thank you. You answered my second question, actually. I will allow for more rounds of questions because I realize I coupled a lot of the time during committee today. So I'm going to
You're good. Thank you. Councilmember Nishimoto or Tolva? No. Means you can go another round. Girl.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so, well, first off, you answered my second question, which was then going to lead me to a lot of the different visions or a lot of the different types of parks that we're having, right? A lot of them are in pockets of areas that are hard to get to, connectivity-wise. And then we have areas that are being built in new subdivisions that we have to look at our own land use ordinance to address those types of parks. So with all of these different changes and the different, all of these different types of parks, how are we going to make those processes more cohesive? Because right now, your department plus the Board of Parks and Recreation, I'm sure they have to deal with a lot of those different, those differing types of uses and types of parks. Whether it be park hours or the type of park, or if it's a park only for dogs and not humans, that type of language, So I just wanted to see what your thoughts or how you're going to, I guess, field your effort towards making that all, seamless.
So I think the balancing the competing needs for parks is never going to be done because you have different user groups. Each group prioritizes their particular use of a park. And so there's always challenges because often you're meeting with each group individually and they're not necessarily seeing the others. Sometimes there's systems you can put in place to make that process easier. So our field user permits would be an example where you have a whole bunch of athletic teams that want to use fields and permit them, and we do not have enough fields for everybody to get 100% of their requested time. So Pearl City had come up with a process a while back where they bring everybody into the room, and they all sit and, soccer, baseball, softball, football, whatever else, and so they're all sitting there figuring out the use of the areas. And the reason you have the different sports is sometimes the baseball outfield is the multi-purpose soccer field. But when they're all in a room together, they're having to work with each other to make it work. It's not just them asking the city for something. And those situations tend to work better. But each time you do that, there's people come in and out, new leagues are formed, different demands come in, or sometimes a new sport comes up like pickleball, where it was like, wait, where was that 10 years ago? And now you end up having to kind of fit that in. And so I think the skill set that we need to develop among our managers and our staff is the skill set of not being afraid of the community and being able to sit down and facilitate these meetings. So we've gone through a couple of these over the last couple years where we did it really well and you guys did not receive complaints. And I really want to thank the staff for that. So one example was in Central Oahu Regional Park, coming up with a schedule to take a couple fields offline each summer to do the field work to restore them. The second was Waipio Soccer Complex, where we took all 25 fields offline for a 3-month period while we redid them in time for a tournament. So that was a process where, I worked with the staff, we worked as a group, we brought the community in, and we talked about it afterwards, is if you're not afraid, if you're able to go out and have these conversations, then your role is to facilitate getting to a decision about how to allocate these resources where maybe not everybody is 100% happy, but they see it's not you against them, it's fixing this space for everybody to use, and how can we do that best where everybody ponies up a little bit.
Oh, go ahead. Thank you, Director, and thank you, Chair. I do think that you should just, understand that you want to listen, and there are certain moments where a park is just so run down to the soil, and the type of soil that is currently there just takes a lot longer. Like Alapu'umalu Neighborhood Park, I think at a certain point we just gotta draw a line, be like, don't use it for like 4 months. That's it. And yeah, I'm willing to stand with you on that, but I think a hard line needs to be drawn there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I do love Alapu'umalu too. My kids play there. Director, council members, you guys have any questions? No? We're good. I am going to be doing a presentation maybe next month or the month after with all the priorities of what we're going to do in this committee. I ran some of them by director. I'm going to meet with the commissioners on the Parks Commission to get their input. I want all of you guys' input too. One of the things that impressed me about director was when she itemized each park and how many illegal citations for commercial activity there was. So her top 4 parks were Kualoa, Haleiwa, Ala Moana, Kapi'olani. But then we at least know where we can kind of start off with where the heaviest activity is. So just to kind of give a precursor, I really want to have that one step more towards commercialized activities being enforced, just one step, not all the way, but just another step, because she did so good with the park ranger program. Secondly, safety. I need everyone to tell me upright and forefront which parks you feel like are not safe for what reasons. I know on our side that's where we had stabbings and shootings, and we don't want it to be that. We want it to be safe. So we need to kind of itemize which parks and priority order them. And then lastly, if there is an opportunity for us to discuss more revenue generating ideas, because we want our parks to be able to be upkept. And I know that you do use the budget funds that we have in the city, but there is a bill for sponsorships. There is other ways we can kind of get there. So we want the parks to be a shining example of the city and county of Honolulu. And you've done a wonderful job thus far, especially utilizing data and community input. 2 things that I think are so key in us, because that's probably the forefront of every call that I get is about parks. If it's not about parks, it's about crime. It's usually the 2. So I do congratulate you, especially with the addition of a new trash truck. Hallelujah for a new trash truck. And thank you very much for MSS. We work with them on a regular basis. Glad they're going to become a new division. We need that. So with that being said, we hope to have maybe in the coming months a more formal presentation where I'll tell you what we'll go throughout the year and what we hope to accomplish here on the Parks Committee. Of course, partnering with the director and the department, so we're actually in tandem and going the same direction. So by the end of her next 4 years, that we've accomplished a lot. She's already accomplished a lot, but we want to make strides together and not against the department, but with them, because I think we'll get a lot farther, especially if we have feedback from the council members. So with that being said, any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Tupola. So I know that we discussed this, but I do want to bring this up publicly because I think it's probably not just relevant to me and my district, but being able to have you as a director. I got this idea from Councilmember Chair Tupola, who mentioned in tandem, right, with the different departments when we're responding to our community with questions from who have concerns about parks, like being able to not always have to wait for DPR to follow up with DFM and or DDC. And so I mentioned this to you before, but it just feels really not great to have to relay the different processes of who we are waiting for. So I think if we could have DPR just be like, it's a DPR site. We know that on the other end, we're waiting for another agency, but as DPR, we are telling you this. So if you could please relay that to your team.
I think, Councilwoman, we definitely can do that in certain cases. In other cases, though, where there may be, it's under a construction contract, we don't manage that contract. Now, the Department of Parks and Recreation does have charter authority to do minor CIP, and our plan is to build out MSS's capacity to take on more projects. But I think there's going to be always certain projects that you need engineers to manage, the major CIP, and the Department of Design and Construction manages those contracts. They manage those consultants. They're the ones that have the information about that. So we do work closely with them, and we can convey the information, but we don't have that information. So in some cases, the primary agency will be the one that holds the information, and I'm not sure, maybe one day we can get onto some type of computer system where everything talks to each other and we can see things, which would be great, but in the meantime, we're not quite there.
I think I hear what you're saying. I want to say that maybe we can mention it to DIT. We were telling DIT like certain things that they could build so that it was expedited. Maybe if there was a process where it's not like talking to different people, but actually one thing and the answers from either department. So we can talk through that, but I hear what you're saying. We just don't want to sound like we're giving excuses to the community. So, okay, clerks, are there any remote or in-person testifiers?
Chair, we have one standing by.
Okay, go ahead, Angela.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young. In strong support of the current director, reading the work background and such good education and experience and activities. And it seems like the director, from just the time that I've been here and at the hearings, she's very knowledgeable about like operational functionalities of a park, whether it's flat, if it's going to make a good dog park, if it has a baseball field, it's a good softball practice field, and she seems like a really good director to know things like, oh, Moili is like a very busy field, so it's not going to be good for her baseball practice. So I really want to support her, and I think she's going to be really good at figuring out logistical planning and being able to assign tasks to people to fulfill responsibilities. And she seems to have extensive knowledge about county and state functions. Seems like the person to know, like, oh, you know, perhaps that college student staff is really good at computer things and can do Excel spreadsheets to organize things. And
Thank you so much, Angela.
yeah. So,
Okay,
thanks.
if there's no further questions or discussion, the chair recommends that Resolution 2518 be reported out for adoption. Any discussions, reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. There being no further business, this meeting is now adjourned.